The fluorescent lights of Henderson and Associates hummed overhead as Marcus Webb pushed his cleaning cart down the polished marble corridor, his weathered hands gripping the handle with the quiet dignity of a man who had learned that honest work was nothing to be ashamed of. At 42, with silver threading through his dark hair and lines etched deep around his eyes, Marcus carried the weight of two worlds on his shoulders: the gleaming corporate tower where he mopped floors each night, and the small apartment where his 8-year-old daughter Emma waited for him to come home. What nobody in that building knew, what nobody bothered to ask, was that the janitor in the faded blue uniform had once been Dr. Marcus Webb, a linguistics professor who had walked away from tenure and prestige when his wife passed away, choosing instead to work nights so he could be there for his daughter during the day, so he could make her breakfast and walk her to school and be present for the childhood that was slipping away too fast. If you believe that every person has a story worth hearing, that kindness costs nothing, and that we should never judge someone by their uniform, please hit that like button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel. You won't regret joining this community of people who still believe in the goodness of humanity. It was a Thursday evening when Marcus entered the executive conference room on the 42nd floor, the city lights glittering like scattered diamonds beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. The room still smelled of expensive cologne and leather, remnants of the late meeting that had just concluded. As Marcus began emptying the trash bins, he noticed 3 young executives lounging around the massive oak table, their ties loosened, their laughter sharp and careless in the way that only comes from people who have never known real struggle. David Chen, the newest partner at 35, was showing something on his phone. To the others, their faces flushed with wine and arrogance. Marcus continued his work silently, invisible to them in the way that service workers so often are, just part of the furniture in their gilded world. Then David's voice cut through the air, loud and mocking. "Hey, janitor." "Yeah, you." Marcus looked up, meeting the younger man's gaze with calm, tired eyes. "You speak any other languages or just English?" David's companion snickered, and Marcus felt the familiar sting of condescension, but he simply nodded.
"I speak a few languages, sir."
This sent them into fits of laughter. David pulled out his phone and displayed a photograph of a document covered in what appeared to be ancient script, lines of text in a language that looked like art itself. "Right, sure you do. Tell you what, if you can translate this, I'll give you my entire month's salary. That's $45,000. But when you can't, you admit that people like you should know their place and stop pretending to be something you're not." The room fell silent, and Marcus felt something shift inside him. It wasn't anger exactly, more like a door opening to a room he had kept locked for 3 years. He set down his trash bag and walked closer, his shoes squeaking slightly on the polished floor. He studied the image for just a moment, and when he spoke, his voice was steady and clear, transformed by knowledge and memory. It's Middle Persian, Pahlavi script specifically. The text reads, "The wise man knows that true wealth is not measured in gold, but in the character we build and the kindness we show to those the world deems beneath notice." It's from a Zoroastrian manuscript, probably 9th century, part of a larger philosophical treatise on ethics and social responsibility. The color drained from David's face. His companions sat frozen, mouths slightly open. Marcus continued, his voice gaining strength. The next line, if you're interested, says that the greatest poverty is not lacking money, but lacking compassion and the ability to see the divine in every human being, regardless of their station. The silence that followed was so profound that Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. David stammered, Who are you?" Marcus allowed himself a small, sad smile. "I'm a father first, but I used to teach comparative linguistics at Columbia University. I specialized in ancient Middle Eastern languages. I've published 2 books and spoke 7 languages fluently before I ever picked up a mop. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle over them like snow. My wife, Sarah, she died 3 years ago. Cancer. She was a pediatric nurse. Worked nights, and suddenly I was alone with our daughter who was 5 and terrified, and needed her daddy to be there when she woke up from nightmares. I couldn't do that and maintain an academic career with its demands and travel, so I made a choice. I chose Emma. I chose mornings making pancakes and afternoons at the playground and being there for every single moment of her childhood that I possibly could. This job lets me do that. It pays our bills, keeps a roof over our heads, and gives me my days with my daughter. Marcus turned back to his cleaning cart, his hands trembling slightly now with the emotion of saying out loud what he had kept inside for so long. You can keep your $45,000, Mr. Chen. I didn't translate that text to win a bet. I did it to remind you, and maybe remind myself, that every person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. That the woman who serves your coffee, the man who delivers your packages, the janitor who cleans your office, we all have stories, dreams, education, heartbreak, love. We're all just trying to survive and protect the people we love. If this story touched your heart, if Marcus's choice moved you, if you believe we need more compassion in this world, please don't just watch and leave. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone. Who needs to hear this message? And comment below telling us about a time when someone surprised you by being more than you assumed they were. Your engagement helps this message reach more people. The next morning, Marcus found an envelope taped to his locker in the janitorial break room. Inside was a check for $45,000 with a note in David's handwriting. You earned this, and I needed to learn this. I'm sorry. I've also spoken with HR about a position we have opening in our international contracts division. They need someone who understands languages and cultures. The interview is yours if you want it, with hours that would still let you be there for Emma. Marcus stood there holding the check, tears streaming down his face, not because of the money or the job offer, but because someone had finally seen him, really seen him, and recognized that his choices didn't diminish his worth but revealed the depth of his character. Before we end, please take a moment to comment respect if Marcus's story inspired you. Let's flood the comments with positivity. That evening, as Marcus tucked Emma into bed, her small arms wrapped tight around his neck, he realized that he had never truly been just a janitor. He had been a father doing whatever it took to give his daughter a childhood filled with presence and love, and there was no shame in that, only honor. Sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is choose love over prestige, presence over position, and the quiet dignity of showing up for the people who need us most, even when the world tells us we're not enough. Marcus Webb had always been enough, and now, finally, he knew it too.